What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Sunday Sessions with Rich Podcast. This platform is designed, guys, to challenge your beliefs, and we're going to elevate your consciousness, okay? If you're new to the show, welcome. Episodes are dropped every Sunday, and you can find me on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and really, guys, all streaming platforms, okay? And previous episodes as well, okay? Please leave reviews and ratings. I would appreciate it as the host. I would really appreciate it, guys. Now, on today's episode, and the reason why you guys are here, I am joined by a psychedelic ascender and lightworker, was sent here to unite humanity and lift our consciousness. O'eshere, welcome to the show, my guy.
What's up? Thank you. I appreciate that. First and foremost, oh no, go ahead.
No. First and foremost, man, you was channeling your own messages. Talk to us about who you are and what you got going on, boss.
Okay, my name is, like you said, O'eshere, and the last name Kundalini, just for the sake of, because that's what I'm about. But I guess where I want to start is, one thing I've always wanted to talk about is like my Kundalini awakening experience, because it was so pivotal in my spiritual journey. And I think that people's idea of what that is and what that entails.
What is for people who don't know, like Kundalini Energy? Because I didn't know about it until started my spiritual journey like halfway through it. But for those who don't know, talk to us what Kundalini is.
All right, so Kundalini Energy is essentially this idea or concept of the energy that works along our chakra systems and our spinal, our spine. Mm-hmm. So by activating the energy within, it's all through breath work, meditation, sitting in deep silence. It's really about focusing and harnessing your energy. Mm-hmm. And we can activate our chakra systems to essentially streamline, and I know this sounds crazy, but it sends a channel of energy up your spine all the way to your third eye. Yeah. And that is when you activate your third eye and are able to see beyond this physical dimension. So I randomly came upon this experience 4 years deep into my own spiritual journey. So I felt like it was kind of like a graduation, so to speak, experience. Something that I experienced to really show me that all the concepts that I have been studying, all of the ideas, when it comes to spirituality, we talk about Kundalini, we talk about meditation, we talk about chakras, tarot reading, all of these things. And it just confirmed to me that they are real. You know what I mean? It's 100%. One thing to just talk about the ideas, but to actually physically feel that energy moving in your body and to see what's beyond, it's a whole different thing. But
bro, this the whole spiritual journey is a wild experience, because it's kind of like your formative years, you're playing human for a great ass time, right? And then it's it's like that mind fuck of trying to like grasp the concept of like, okay, damn, we're spirits having this human experience, or maybe I might have some psychic abilities, or shit isn't what we thought it was, kind of thing. But it's interesting, man. So it's a wild journey.
I absolutely agree. And I like to say that we are human beings becoming divine, just to like bridge the concept of like, yes, we are humans. Yes, we are in physical bodies, but the magic is in our divine essence. It's in that ability to tap into that. And I keep saying beyond, because I feel like it genuinely is, or feels to be beyond this space where it is, where we are, where we're having this conversation. But it's just really on top of us. It's really just reflecting through everything that's happening right now. And I know this sounds confusing and crazy, but I don't know. I'm really into this idea of bridging the realm of like humanity and spirituality, just because I feel like that's the core of all of this.
Would you say that's kind of the case right now with like everything that's going on with, like, I'll call it the pandemic, but also call it the global awakening in the consciousness sense, because we needed this I guess like what pause period for people to like just peep shit and do the inner work. I know me personally during this time, I've done a lot of shadow work. I've done I've developed more of my spiritual gifts, but we needed that reset for us to like slow down.
Absolutely. I think I agree, because it's funny that you say pandemic, but yes.
Bro, that's what I call it. It's all a pandemic, man. It's all a pandemic.
Yeah, no, for real. No, it absolutely is. We all know that it's a farce and that they're just playing games with their main characters on the stage. So,
right.
But I definitely agree on the fact that this is a pause. It's kind of like, think about how they say dark room meditation is the best way to like speed up your way.
I've heard of that. Is that true? Have you tried that?
Absolutely. Dark room meditation. There was a period in my life where I would sit in this dark room, this like closet on my balcony for like 6 months every single day. Like, and it shifted my like whole consciousness because it essentially places you back in the mindset of being in a womb, you know?
Whoa,
And
that makes sense.
children, and this is the way I love children. I'm just gonna like preface
I
that.
I do too.
I talk about children because they are like the truest essence of like what Christ consciousness is and what it means to think in the mind of God. And so I don't know, like back to dark room meditation, when you're spend time in that space, it puts you back in the mind of a child and you start thinking about things in the way of a child again.
Have you noticed though, kind of you guys might see a random cat pop up a few times. That's just my cat. I always make my cat descriptions. Would you think though too, like, I guess source, the universe, God, whatever we are at our core, that is like childlike energy. That's what I'm starting to realize. Well, not realize, remember. I like to say remember because we all know this shit.
Yes, and that's so crazy that you say that is because something happened to me earlier. I can't quite remember, but the whole purpose was the fact that we know, like this is ancient in our DNA. This is something we have to learn. We genuinely have to just remember. But back to the question. Yes, I definitely understand that God is nothing but like childlike energy in its purest form. That's why, you know, when you think about Monsters Inc., the reason that they wanted of the children is in the screams and all of that.
Fear harvesting, bro. We can tap into all that, man. This show, I dive into everything, man. We can talk about that too.
No, for real. No, that is very much real. I need people to understand one thing. We cannot create movies, TV shows, animation, cartoons that do not stem from the subconscious and unconscious realm. So all of the information that we see are speaking to aspects of existence within ourselves and the reality that we are living. So if we are going to look at it from that frame, Monsters Inc. is literally telling us they are using the fear and energy of children in order to power some system, some entity, some energies, whatever it may be, that are literally here to just, I don't even know. We're not going to go that deep, but you know, that just learning to observe from that lens is really crucial because it's childlike. It's like, I'm curious about what's going on. I'm curious about the connections between this and that, you know? So
I'm learning. So I don't know about you. Well, I'm learning in the spiritual journey, you go through stages, right? You go through, thank you, universe, you know, synchronicity numbers starting to pop up.
Yes.
And then you kind of dab into manifestation. You start to learn about the law of attraction. But then it's even surface level. It's kind of like you get to a point where you create, but it's a bar to your creation. Like it's a limit. And then you bust through that shit and it's like, damn, I actually create every single thing.
Yes.
And that's where accountability come from.
Oh, absolutely. I kind of premiered this whole process into like, you know, to childbirth, you know, the process of cells conjoining, breaking down, mitosis, meiosis, all of that. I think the whole process is what we go through. And when we reach a stage of completion, we break through the ceiling, the glass ceiling, as you just said. And that's when we're aware that, oh, wow, our potentiality is greater than what we even thought it was. So now that we have to develop a whole different body, so to speak, a whole different mindset, a frame of consciousness that mirrors that potentiality. And that's where we get into these cycles of death and rebirth. And we're just really creating new versions of ourselves.
Damn. So, that makes so much sense. So I guess in a human sense, it's kind of easy to, I guess, map that as something bad happening when in actuality is just, like you said, it's that death process and you being redirected towards whatever.
Yes, absolutely. And that's crazy because today I was thinking about all the bad things that have been happening or have happened to me. And usually there are thoughts from childhood or my high school experience and stuff like that. But those things or those experiences were meant, even if they were interpreted as bad, we all know that we glean lessons from those experiences.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's to understand, okay, so the bad things that we are experiencing, isn't meant to punish us, isn't meant to make us think that the world is evil. It's to understand that we have to learn that lesson, because that is something, a quality, a way of thinking, reaction, a response that we need to develop in order to evolve. And so we're all at different stages of our journey. So your lesson may be, okay, you might have to, like, you know, get into a car accident to show you that you need to slow down. I might lose my job to show me that I'm affiliating or putting my energy towards sources that don't serve me. It's all different, and it all may be interpreted as bad, good, depending on whomever. But the essential point is that you needed to learn that this is something that you need to change within yourself. Because think about it. Oh no, go ahead.
No. I go finish your train of thought.
Think about it, like, if we're learning a lesson, or if we're trying to become a better person, you have to meet a challenge that affirms that that's what you're trying to do. Does that make sense? Like, it's kind of like the universe is meeting you halfway and saying, okay, if you are really trying to become this better person or change this quality about yourself, we're going to send you an experience that matches and challenges that aspect.
That's so true.
That makes sense?
That's so true.
I started looking at everything as, like, not even a challenge or a competition, because it's not even, but it's like, these are genuine reflectors of me. You know what I mean? Experience in their totality. And I know it's kind of crazy to say that, because I used to feel guilty, because I used to think that I was deducing other people and their involvement in my life to just a reflection of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's the ultimate narcissist trap. Like, oh, all of y'all are just reflections of me. All of y'all are just figments of my imagination, side characters in my story. No, we're all the main character.
Right, we're all the main character,
So, like, I don't know, just playing off of that is like, it's been inspiring me to even be more curious again, play more with life, because I'm starting to understand, okay, it's not about me, but it's about me.
It's about me. It's interesting you mentioned that. So, because I know it's easy, unless you're aware of yourself, the mind, just creation, just you as a creator. It's easy to fall in that, why is this happening? Like, if you late for work, of course you not go, I guess like a average self of ours, we wouldn't think, oh, maybe I was late to work because I was meant not to get into a car accident or something. Like, you start to, you don't know, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I feel like that's why I'm appreciative of these conversations, because it could be someone who doesn't know this. They could have had a bad day, prior to listening to this, and they're listening to this conversation like, damn, okay, because there's no such thing as things just randomly happening. Everything is divine timing, everything. And so it's either because I'm saying like you, I'm questioning, okay, why is this happening? And I'm learning to laugh. So like when something happened, I just laughed. Okay, I'm interested to see how this manifestation plays out. Obviously, something isn't how it's supposed to be right now, but just make fun of, because if you continue on that thought of why me, this is happening, you only manifesting more, but you can't see the original thing for what it was. Now you're in that constant loop of negative creations, if that makes sense.
Yes, no, absolutely. Because something that I read earlier was that a big part of people, the bad that happens in people's life is their misconception of karma. So a major part of karma is that we manifest what we feel guilty or shame about. So if you are in this mindset of thinking like, oh, woe is me, why me, you're going to manifest more situations that produce a why me mentality. Does that make sense? So, and it's not to say like people are their own problems, because even though that's half it, that's not the full truth. So to say, using that thought to project you into, okay, let me step outside of this situation and learn to laugh, learn to view it in a different situation. That's important, because what that's teaching you is how distracted our true consciousness is. Because when you're in that laughing, playing state, that's like your divine childlike energy.
You're back in alignment at that point.
Yes, absolutely. But we can get taken out of that in an instant. And
Bro,
you're shown
so
that.
True.
Oh, if you stub your toe on the fucking door when you're walking outside, I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? It'll take you out of that consciousness so quick. And I think that lesson through our relationship, through our work
So
experience.
true.
Every
So
facet
fucking true.
we have to learn how to remain at that state at all times. And I know that's like one of the craziest things. Like, how can I stay at God's state all
It's
the
a
time?
practice, man.
We're here meditating and learning how to be Buddha. You get what I'm
Mm.
saying? So like
Big fucking facts. Because I've been really big lately. Like I create big things, but now I'm manifesting like the day-to-day, not the day-to-day, well, the day-to-day, the moment by moment stuff. So if I'm grocery shopping or because I work in sales, for example. So in the mornings, I'll say, you know, I'm opening my emails and, you know, getting messages from clients who want to sign up kind of thing. And just like those little scripted moments to plan out the little details so that when those quick manifestations pop up, you get more excited and you stay in alignment even longer. So it's like little hacks I play with myself.
Yes, no, and I'm definitely down for the hacks because I think we're programmers essentially.
Yeah, programmers. Yeah.
If we're living in the matrix trying to escape said matrix, that means we're coding. That means we are creating a system here. So I think creating some daily hacks and systems in your life like that to like kind of take you out of the not even routine, but the humdrum of reality itself. Because our daily and mundane activities are the most blessed and fun aspects of reality. We should enjoy, you know, like
I get to do this. And I have to do this. I get to do this.
Yeah, like absolutely. Like, and I think, I don't know, just finding that center and being able to consciously like just live from that space is so important. And like you said, it is a practice because it's difficult. We know, like, you know, when you go outside, you walking through a grocery store, like you're picking up on the energy all of us.
So much, man.
So much. And we can get so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And especially for empaths and psychically sensitive people, they get really, really overwhelmed. So
big facts. Big facts. I was experiencing that. I think it was like shit. I came back from the UK, and the US is just loud and noisy. It's just fuck. Cause I live in Chicago, so I pick up on energy. So you know, of course, so is you. I'm downtown one day, bro, and I just feel anxious and fucking overwhelmed, and I feel like I'm having a panic attack. And I'm like, what energy am I picking up? And it made me think like, damn, this is probably how the collective feels right now with all this, you know, COVID hysteria and shit. So I'm just picking up on the anxiousness of the collective, or it's mirroring back to me, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. And it's crazy how we don't understand, or we underestimate rather, that we are really sponges, like walking around here, like
man.
And I take this back to childhood and the children, just because I say when you're that age range, you know, that space, that's like one of the most vulnerable, like psychically. So that when I say they
from like 1 to 7, right?
Yes, you think you felt like you were under a panic attack? No, they're probably feeling like, you know, they're being obliterated. So like, it's
true.
We have to like consider those things, but even not to that point or that end. It's more so to say, it's very important to ascertain your own energy, your own energetic boundaries, and the rituals that you need to complete in order to replenish yourself. Because I think that's something that we also need to learn, because cleaning yourself.
Talk to us about that though. So for those who are listening, they're like, you know, what rituals can we do to protect our energy? What would you say to somebody?
Okay. Because so what I do every day is when I wake up in the morning, obviously I drink my water after speaking intentions into it. But what I like to do before I leave my house is I have this oil that I anoint on my throat chakra and behind my ears, because I'm protecting my crown. And I'm protecting my throat, which is, I feel like, is my like personal identity. I know that we talk about the sacral as far as our expression and creative energy, but our throat is like where we speak our truth, where we like speak to others. This is me. So protecting that space to me is like affirming to the world, I am not to be trifled with when I would step outside. So definitely I say, if you are anointing yourself with oil, anoint yourself first thing in the morning when you wake up. And as far as, okay, I know this sounds weird, but if you aren't into like colognes or like smelling good, make sure you're smelling good when you step outside.
Explain that. I wear cologne, but I feel like it's a reason why you're saying that in a spiritual sense. I'm curious.
Yes. Okay. So spiritually, negative energy is attracted to dense and musky smells. So if you stink, you're more liable to attract a negative interaction from a person. You're more like, you know, just think about the whole idea of a homeless person sitting at the gas station. We walk by over and overlook them every single day, but not just because that's a homeless person at the gas station, because the energy that they're giving off from just the odor, just from the light that they're in, it's really like, it's repellent. So I think smelling good is also a repellent to negative energy, and it attracts good energy. Think of like, you know, honey and the bees, you know what I'm saying? Like
that's a good point.
No. And so I think that's also a protective thing. And one thing I'm heavy on is my spiritual baths. And people get, I don't know, when we say spiritual baths, it's like, what do I have to do to make a bath spiritual? It's not even complicated. Throw you some good smelling salts up in there, you know, salt. Like, sprinkle some petals in there if you feel like it. Light a candle. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. The whole thing about setting ritual and routine like that is the intention behind it. So if I literally just slather myself with some lotion, but I'm slathering it and I'm speaking those intentions, I know that this is going to protect me when I walk outside from any evil entity.
Wow.
That power alone, I'm telling you, that is what powers the ritual. So by default, that lotion is now superpower lotion.
That's
you get what I'm saying?
Crazy. Because I know you can speak like, well, you can speak life into anything or just set intentions, but it brushes past you like the everyday shit. Like for example, I've been conscious of speaking life into my water. But I didn't even think about the lotion shit. But it makes sense. It makes sense.
And it plays off this idea of like, okay, if I'm gonna be a child, okay, if I was a child, what do we do? Okay, toothbrush. Oh, this is Reptar. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole anything with this. So like that's the mentality that you need to have when you're doing your magic, when you're doing your rituals, when you're like basically reprogramming and doing what you need to do. Like we can program any intention into our minds are powerful. So just by thinking it does something, but even if you, especially when you speak it out loud, you're affirming a whole different thing. God created the world with what? The word. And then there was like, you know what I'm saying? So it's really important. So
you made me think. I'm sorry to cut you off. Made me think of something because you mentioned, because when you said that, I had a flashback when I was a kid. I'll play my Power Rangers, my Dragon Ball Z, my Gokus and shit like that. And I'll sit, you know, I'll be on the floor and I'll be playing with them in the bed and, you know, flying and talking, but not knowing I'm using my powers in a creative way. But in that moment, they're real and they're actually fighting. And that's fucking wild.
Literally, no. Do you remember how vivid that was when you were playing? No, I can tell you that you weren't sitting there playing. Like these people were fighting. This was a war, you know, like this is real. That's how vivid our imagination was when we were children. We weren't just literally imagining, we were making those things real, and nobody was able to tell us that's what we were doing. We were like, when I would be reading a book, I would literally transport to the realms that was in the book. I read Harry Potter, the first book that I ever read, and I watched Harry Potter in my own mind before.
I did the same. Yeah.
And like that potentiality, that power is our superpower. That's like the child part of us. Like, hey, our imagination is the tool that God gave us. Is the ultimate gift.
That's fucking wild. So that kind of gets cut off with the whole educational system. Because you're either taking away the creativity, because we're in the fucking, I call it the detention center, when you just being told what to do, follow straight lines. Now that I look back on my fucking school shit, all we did was stand in foul lines, march like we're fucking, can't think of the word, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. Marching around like that, and it's just like kind of like some dictatorship. But then I look back, it took away all the creativity. There was no art class or, hey, you know, use this clay and make something. It's, you know, math, science, and fucking manipulated history that doesn't exist.
Do you remember that Very Odd Parents episode? I don't even know if you watched that show, but there was an episode where Timmy he turned into like a gray blob, and there was only one pink blob that existed. The pink hat, you know? And it's that whole idea, like I think school is meant and designed to turn children into those gray blobs and prevent their imagination and the creativity and originality, aka from existing. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Because they know if a child is able to grow into an adult with that same childlike imagination and childlike creativity, they are essentially a god, period. Like, because they now have access to, it's like I'm trying to describe this because that is like, you know, how they talk about the liquid amrita or the elixir of life.
Yeah.
That is it. And I don't know how to explain it any deeper than that. Like, that is it. And once we're able to tap into that, like sustain that energy throughout our waking life, like, you know, just like through having conversations like this through to just like lighting up and like allowing ourselves to think about things in a different way. It seems mundane. It seems like it's not doing anything, but that is the most impactful thing that we can do, because we're creating conversation and turning our consciousness and direction to what's natural, what's organic. You know,
you wanna know what's interesting, bro? You mentioned this early, and it made so much fucking sense. So you mentioned about, so no, backtrack. So activating DNA. So let's say, and I channel messages, and this is a vision that popped into my head, so I just wanted to talk to you about it. So when you, let's say, a conversation like this, for example, or even somebody who's just, you know, watching the show, whatever we're talking about is activating something in them, activating that DNA. So like, damn, that makes so much fucking sense.
Yes, and that's exactly. So I like to write children's stories because I like to use very specific words. Even when I'm having conversations like this, it seems like I'm very scattered, or like, but no, every word that I speak, I'm speaking very specifically, because I know that even if they don't consciously pick up on what I'm saying, the intonation of my voice, the intention behind my words, the message, all of that is being translated into your DNA, and it's activating regardless of whether or not you know it. And it's on a subconscious level. So even if people are able to speak consciously to something that I'm saying, like, oh yeah, I definitely believe childhood imagination is important. Even just that, it still translates even deeper on a subconscious level to, yes, I'm trying to awaken the God in you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's interesting. So you're kind of you are, even with the books, you're using subliminal messages. Kind of what, I don't like calling them the elite anymore, because I just at the core, we're all just in this fucking playing our roles for each other to expand.
It's a playground, yes.
It's a playground. So our other selves, I'll refer them to. Damn, what was I going with that? I was rambling on with that thought. Fuck was I saying?
Using subliminal messages in order to. Yes. So yes, basically I do. That's my whole intention, because I think that we have to speak to the subconscious, because that is what is being manipulated and used in order to create chaos within our reality. So for me, I think we need to heal those places, and so that's why I speak not only to, but specifically to the subconscious mind, so that way I know that even if you don't know, when I leave this conversation, you've been changed. You get what I'm saying? And I'm just not to like be I don't know, evil or malicious intentions, but that's obviously what the other selves are doing. If I do it, I'm gonna do it with some love. I'm gonna just do
alchemize it
to change your mind in a godlike way. So it's the opposite of what they're doing, and I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm trying to manipulate them to becoming better. But it's more so to like, if we can watch them do that all the time, why couldn't we have another avenue going in the opposite way? You know what I'm saying?
That's so true. It kind of, because at the end of the day, they're already programming you. And if you're watching this episode, I'm assuming we're on the same frequency. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to me, I'm assuming. But you never know.
Yes, they absolutely do. Yes. And I think it's crazy because, you know, the conspiracy theorists are always criticized.
We're the gatekeepers, man. We're the fucking gatekeepers, bro.
Gatekeepers. And it's crazy, like, as things just continuously unfold, it's like nobody's like, oh, they were right, you know what I'm saying? Which we don't even need that, because the thing about it is, like, when you know, and you're just waiting for everybody else to catch up. It's not about, oh, I need to prove to you that this is what's going on.
That's not the point.
No, everybody's gonna get to that level when they get to it, because I'm telling you, like, back in 2016 when I had my Kundalini awakening, I literally so that I'm going to try to explain what I saw, because this is what the premise of what reality is. We were all sitting in like this giant, I'm talking about Coliseum, stadium. I don't know. It was beautiful. It was massive. And every single person on earth had their own special seat, everybody. And so we were all like, I don't know how to describe it. We were all like making a beat doing a dance. Like it was all just play. Like we were literally playing and dancing, and we were like dancing to a choreographed routine. And my interpretation of this is like the, you know, when they say cycle of life and how things unfold, I was thinking like, oh, this is everybody playing their specific role, doing what they're be doing, playing, you know, being in their space and in their spot. And everybody was like trying to figure out their rhythm, figure out their choreography. And I'm like, oh, wait. So everybody has to figure out their special movement, their purpose, their spark, whatever you want to call it. And once everybody figures it out, when I say the Coliseum, just like it like lit up because everybody was moving at the same frequency.
That's crazy.
Golden light like burst out, and the next thing I know, we were all like, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I saw like Atlantis begin.
No.
Crazy, but that was just affirming to me that the consciousness that they were on is what we're trying to get back to.
I agree. I think that's why, because I've noticed, I guess like the younger generation, I guess those who are like in their teens or even like the new babies that's being birthed, and they're waking up faster because they're peeping bullshit and they're questioning more. So I'm wondering if they're coming in at a certain DNA where they don't need to go through half the shit we went through.
That's the whole point. I hope people understand. Okay, so and that's what caused a lot of the guilt and shame and tension, is because a lot of people are sending out this jealous energy because we are now witnessing and experiencing that there are people behind them, that these new babies are resonating at a higher frequency, and they didn't have to work to do it. They didn't. It's kind of like that whole idea of like,
there shouldn't be a jealousy thing about it though.
It shouldn't. We should be happy that we created a space where babies can be born without having to suffer. The only reason we've had to suffer up until this point is because we turned our back on God. Now, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason for us to have to suffer, because
we're not supposed to.
It's a playground.
Yeah, it's a playground, right?
It's a jail, but it's a playground.
Right.
But so this whole idea of like, I don't know, like remembering that is what's going to bring us back. I don't know.
I feel like we are, though. We're definitely remembering that. I've noticed, because even if it's just because if you are into like the smallest detail of spirituality, you already had your awakening. It could be the most smallest thing. You could talk about. You can use the word, "Oh, I don't believe in God. I believe in the universe." "Oh, I've been using crystals lately." Any of those things, you're already in your spiritual awakening. Welcome to the other side. It's good to see you.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. Because all it takes, is just like accepting the invitation, essentially. And it's so crazy because, wow, where's that book? I freaking found it. It's called Invited. I found this at the bookstop. Invited. And I'm like, it's the call of the lifetime, and it's obviously about Christ and God and stuff like that. But it's crazy that I found that. But yes, that's what it's about. It's about like accepting the idea, like, okay, there's something bigger here. I don't have to do everything, but let me just dabble into these little things that come through me to me with synchronicity, like the crystals. I started with crystals, then I got into tarot, then I started studying, the emerald tablets, and got a little deeper, So I think it's all, and it doesn't have to. You don't have to go as deep as the next person, but as long as you are consciously making those steps, that's all that matters. Because eventually you're gonna get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're on the same way home. We can't see each other on our individual journeys, so that makes us feel like we're alone, isolated.
Man,
we're all in the same direction.
You want to know what's crazy, bro? I had my spiritual awakening. I'm realizing now in college. That's when the initial, universe, the concept of us being gods. And then you, like I say, you start seeing the synchronicity numbers. You start finding YouTube channels and shit. But then you feel alone because you don't have nobody to talk to about this shit. Right. And that's why I appreciate Twitter, man. And I appreciate just the fact that that's the only platform that you can go to on a spiritual tip and you feel like you have a family. I mean, they are your family, but you don't feel alone anymore. So many people on there.
Yes, and it's crazy how, like, honestly, I did not think that if I was not on Twitter, actually, I would not think that there was a spiritual community at all.
Not at all.
it's really, I do applaud the platform for that space and just allowing us to really come together like this. Like, I would not even be able to have this conversation with you. You know
That's
what
what I'm saying, bro.
Yes, I totally get that. Absolutely. So it's nice. Those affirmations are confirmation.
Yeah.
Yes, we're changing. The world is getting there.
We're
you know,
changing.
and I think absolutely we have changed. Like, people don't understand when they said the end of the world in 2012, then again in 2016, those were just like little blips telling y'all, okay, this was a shift.
Right.
And I know everybody's like, oh, it's a shift. No, but I mean, when we say shift, it's a shift in consciousness.
Yeah.
So the way of the thinking of the people has changed.
Mm-hmm.
We're all on a different wavelength. We can talk about spirituality now. We can talk about it not be weird. It's actually normal because we now resonate at a frequency where those words, those ideas, like not even just taboo, but inconceivable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Have you? I want to say like maybe last week. I felt a shift, but it felt like a shift in timelines. Like I feel like we're officially on the new earth, like settled in kind of shit, and kind of like those who are on the same frequency are now resonating in harmony. But this is the beginning of, I guess, a new utopia. That's what it feels to me. I feel a lot of light energy.
Because we're, 3D, the 3D is gone technically.
Right.
So we're in 4D, about to be in 5D, right?
That's what it feels like.
Yes, that's where the attention comes. 4 is like the heart, it's like the middle. But technically, what I consider of it is like this purgatory state. Yeah. Like the precipice where you're getting ready to give birth, where you're just like, it's right there.
Bro.
Like, when we get to 5D, that's when all of those feelings will kind of reside, and we'll realize, okay, yes, we really are in the earth. The sun will feel different. You know what I'm saying? When you walk outside, your perception of color will be heightened. And like, it's not even anything magical or crazy. It's just more so you're gonna look around and see, oh, I'm perceiving things in a differently.
Guys, because guys, I know you might hear me talk about COVID on the show, and like I might make fun of it. Well, not might, I do make fun of it, but I don't say it in a like, F anybody who, doing that. It's not the case. I just it's all this shit is planned. If it's not obvious by now, it's gonna get more obvious. But I say that to say there's a lot of fear going on in the media, right? So anybody who is heavily programmed into the fear, I can understand why you're reacting and behaving how you're doing. If you're still wearing masks all around, or even if you just taking special precautions, I get it. I sympathize because that's the programming. But what needs to happen is, and this is where, and I'm noticing even certain people in the spiritual community, they still dabble in the I want to say the 3D matrix. There's 2 timelines. You have the fear timeline where you can easily just adopt the hysteria of the pandemic, or you can choose the other frequency where vaccine passports don't stick and people are calling out the bullshit. People are waking up about the media. I mean, not the media, well, the media too, and the government, and how the government is just lying and not for the people. Like, that's the free. And I'm noticing that shift. I'm saying this to say, guys, you have a choice. You have a choice of fear, and you living in shambles and scared all the time, or you can move in the timeline of love, and that things are happening for the collective. It's really up to you. But if you're watching this, then you're on the frequency that we're on.
I agree. And I think, okay, so this is going to be kind of controversial, but when I think this was purposefully.
I love controversial topics.
Just because of the fact that like it was meant to provoke deeper thought, is the fact that yes, slavery is a choice. Like, I mean,
it is. We can dive into that. Can we dive into that, please?
Yes, absolutely.
This might trigger some people. Like, it's my trick, but it's because like Ye said, slavery is a choice, and people's like, no. But even back then, and I'm not saying this to be insensitive. Even back then, let's say you're in a plantation, you have a choice. You can run, or you can stay put. Now, me, I would have ran. I'm defiant. I don't like authority. I would have ran. If I would have got killed, I would have just got killed. But shit,
they won. And that's why no cap. I think that's why a majority, and I know this is even more controversial. I don't even think that the slavery version that they fed us even happened.
Bro,
it's not realistic.
Can we talk about this, please, man?
It's not realistic, and not even that. It's just like, just based off of that, I'm not the person to be tamed. I'm not gonna sit there and be still. So death would have been imminent. You know what I'm saying? We would have been killed at war to this day. So there's no way you can tell me that something of that velocity or that trauma occurred. We just cool. No, it's no way.
It's like, so even like right now, when people like, again, I understand if your reality reflects the vibration that you're at. So if you're saying, but hey guys, I just experienced racism today. And then my question is to you, yes, you're not my question, but my statement will be, yes, you did experience that because that's the vibration that you're on. We're speaking from a vibration of, we don't identify with that idea, that narrative, because it's a lower vibrational idea and it doesn't feel good. We know that everyone is just consciousness. There's no, black, white, yada, yada. It's called a human race, not a black race, not an Asian race, not a white race. It's called a human race for a reason.
Yes, I agree. And the fact that we get caught up in those like identity labels and those identities are just ways for us to further separate ourselves from the one true consciousness. And so, I mean, once you understand that, obviously, if you wanted to control a people, you would amass this narrative, but that, okay, white people don't like black people, blah, 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 blah. And all the tension between that is enough in itself to dismantle a whole world, just because we're not built for that level of tension.
No.
If we are naturally supposed to be collaborative, creative, and communal beings.
As a society,
As a society, absolutely. Then how would we even be able to tolerate animosity of that level? It's not
true.
Of course, there's tension. We have like day-to-day problems and stuff like that. That's normal. But as far as an entire person or race, quote unquote, hating another race, that's inconceivable. That's not. It's not in a lion hates a fucking fish. You get what I'm saying?
Right. That's not.
It's natural. There's a system that they abide by because they all know that they are creatures of the one.
Right. It's like it's just like I love any controversial topic. I'm for it. But because it's, I'll have like you have different friends, right? You have friends on different stages of awareness, right? That's just how I like to describe. And you have those who are like, but I saw this cop video, or the media presented this, or this, that, and there. I'm like, yeah, they're doing that to continue the programming for you to keep creating that experience. If, prime example, if you adopt the idea that all cops hate black people, that's going to be your experience. So I'm not invalidating your experience, because that's 100% real. Right? We're not saying that. We're not saying your experience isn't real.
Absolutely.
What we're saying is that reality that you're experiencing, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't make you, it makes you feel like shit. It makes you feel like you are inferior to another when that's not the case. Right. So when I have those conversations, I'll say, okay, fair enough, that's your reality, but that's not mine. And that's when they get a little mind fucked up, because they don't understand that we create our reality. So until you understand that, you're going to kind of play that loop. But the point I was trying to make is, if you're operating from a mindset of, police don't like me, anytime you come past the police, that energy vibrates off of you. That police officer then picks up on that energy. And then now he's serving as the actor in your play to mirror what you want.
Absolutely. And it's premised on that emotion of fear, because
fear, bro,
are afraid that this person, entity, energy is trying to do something or absorb or absolve you of your own. And so that friction is going to automatically create realities that reflect that.
Exactly.
Because that energy in itself is too static. It has to go somewhere. It has to move. And so it comes into creation. And so once we start to realize that not only are we able to create our own realities, but everything is vibration.
Everything is vibration.
Okay, let me step off this vibration of fear, because it's not about dismissing the fact that bad things happen. Racist people.
We're not dismissing that at all.
Dismissing that, but it's to understand that all of these things exist at a certain vibration. And if you are willing to you either raise yours or repurpose yours for whatever reason in whatever direction, you will then stop witnessing those experiences in your reality.
That's so key. When I grasped that concept, it changed everything, because I just feel like it's a constant theme of being a victim. And I've always asked myself, where is this idea of a victim mentality kind of comes from? And it kind of points me back to like Disney movies, right? It's always a parent dying in a movie, and it's always some hardship, right? So it's always some victim consciousness. But if you want to live in a reality where there's racism, then by all means you can experience that. That's your free will. We all have free will. But in my reality, I see everyone as one, everyone as consciousness, everyone as love. So I'm gonna treat everyone as such. It's very ignorant to say that, you know, white people and black people and white people, everyone's racist at the end of the day. Every group is racist. If we're keeping it a buck, right? Everyone has portrayed some type of sense, but this doesn't serve us. It only divides us more. We need to be in unity, but it's designed that way. But we're moving forward. I'm very conscious of how I word things, so I might backtrack what a statement I just said, because I don't want to create that timeline. So I'm just like, I might be like, no, never mind, let me switch that up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get that completely. But no, to that end, I agree, because, and we can talk about the fact that other species of beings and stuff like that exist, if y'all even want to have that conversation. But we don't like diminish the fact that yes, oneness is still the accord here. That's you know, that's the whole point and purpose in separating from ourselves from each other by these identities and these labels. It's never going to just
labels.
There are all these identities and labels. That's why I'm very heavy against it, and that's why I think that's honestly subconsciously why I didn't put myself out there on my Twitter platform, is because I'm sick of the whole idea that identity is what has to define a person. Does that make sense?
So true.
And I know it's crazy because our identity is supposed to be our person, but no, it's not.
No.
I'm beyond all of those things. I can change in an instant. Do you understand? So for me to bog myself down by saying, "Oh, I'm Black,"
right,
or I'm, you know,
it's a label.
Labels, or dismiss, you know, even the need, I guess, for them. But it's more so to say that I have personally gone beyond the need for them, because I recognize myself as consciousness.
I think because I appreciate us having this conversation, because when the conversation pops up, people can't grasp it because that's the reality. But again,
like, oh no, but I experience racism today. No, okay, I get that. It's real, but it's not. And I know that conflict is what gets people confused, you know. And that I can understand it completely, but you have to understand, like, in order to see beyond that, you will have to meditate. You will have to do shadow work. You will have to do the process of stepping back from that, because you're crowded by the loudness of that reality.
A lot of loudness, man.
And it's so loud. I'm talking so loud. In order to perceive beyond it, you need silence. And so I understand that people in their waking lives who go and work, and never have time for themselves, how they get caught up in their reality. But when we understand, we can take measures to detach and focus on what's real. You have that responsibility. And it's your duty, you know?
That's why I think it's powerful. And that's why I'm appreciative of you hopping on the platform. That's why it's important to have conversations like these, because everybody explains things differently, and some people may break things down in a simpler way where it can permeate the subconscious mind, right? Some other ways of wording it, people can resonate, but some other it might bounce off. So you never know. But I'm appreciative of these conversations for sure.
Absolutely, because I think in order to, it's one, like we were talking about earlier, it's one thing to talk about things and just talk about a surface level,
right?
But I think the nuance is required, because it speaks to all these different elements with yourself. So even if you aren't listening on point A, B, C, D, or E could pick up a message. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So that's why I think, yes, we definitely need to be able to elaborate and like explicate when we have these type of conversations, just because not everybody knows even what we're talking about. Like
Right.
with something as simple as what is a chakra, some
Yeah.
people genuinely don't know. So I think it's important to like break down the conversation to the capacity that you're able.
That's so true. Cause I mean, it's just because I catch myself about to have a like a little cyan moment, like why don't people see this kind of shit? Not just like that idea, but just in general about some shit that's just like so out there that I don't see how people are adopting that idea.
Right.
But then I'm reminded people are just operating off the vibration that they at, and at that frequency, that's all they know. And until they accept new information is true, they know that's the vibration they gonna be at. And then that's you got to accept and say, hey, that's your free will. That's what you probably want to experience in this life. Then by all means.
Yes, and then people absolutely have that free will. And I know it's frustrating because usually a child of God, our only inspiration is to inspire, uplift, and motivate another person to realize, hey, this is what's going on. Or not even just that, but it's to breathe life into a different consciousness here. So it can be kind of frustrating to see people are being resilient or stagnant in these certain spaces, but
Right.
hey, at the end of the day, that's what they're here to experience. That is their experience. So we're not here to dictate or tell them to do anything different. But we can highlight for others, a pathway to do and a pathway to be on a higher level.
That's so true. And I think it all just comes down to being an example because everything mirrors, right? So we have to be the example for everything.
Which is something that I've been struggling with just because I don't know, because I keep to myself so much, it's hard for me to feel like my words or my presence could have an impact in the way that I guess it is. But
just like this conversation, it will. And just like this, even your thought, because I know you mentioned it to me off air that you're, like you said, you want to be out of hermit mode and kind of just like I honestly feel like that you could be like, oh, I wish I got out of this earlier at a hermit mode. No, this was the time when you were meant to be out of hermit mode. And now look, you're on a podcast. Your message is gonna vibrate and trickle out. So this is perfect, bro.
And that's what's so awesome about it is because I knew like this felt absolutely like divine timing. It's crazy because the eclipse was yesterday,
Bro, yeah.
Like my born day, and so now I'm
let's go
refreshed and ready. So it's crazy. Yeah, this is definitely divine timing. But I don't know. I think surrendering to that flow is allowing me to be more comfortable and sharing my message.
So, hey, I'm appreciative, bro. I always ask this last question for my guests. What would your message be to humanity at this time?
At this time, okay, cool. Okay, give me a second to think about this.
Take your time, bro. Take your time.
My message to humanity. Oh my gosh. Okay, first and foremost, I would say be gentle with yourself. If you need time, take it, because we live in a world where we feel obligated and pulled in every single direction. So it's essential to take that time to just listen to yourself. And if you are on the path of spiritual awakening, you don't have to work too hard. You don't have to overthink it. Allow the process to unfold for you. Observe the synchronicity. Observe what makes you feel good, especially. And I don't know, just be soft to yourself. I keep stressing on that majority just because the vibration is very harsh right now. So I'm big on self-care at this time. And I guess that's my overall message. Take care of self, and not just your ego, your identity, the roles that you perform in your day-to-day, but self,
That, bro, that is the perfect, because I feel like even now, we're going through a shadow period, but at the same time, it's just reminding us to put ourselves first. And yes, it's okay to be selfish when it comes to yourself. It's called boundaries. Yes. It's called, I'm not letting you drain my cup and I ain't getting shit in return. That's what that's called.
Yes, I'm not selfish. I'm self-full. You know what I'm saying?
Now. That's bars, bro. That's
for real. Bars. That's something that I really had to learn, because I think what keeps us from doing things that make us happy, being our best self, or genuinely just finding our light, is this idea that being ourselves is going to get us criticized or overlooked or made fun of, embarrassed, etc. But the fact is, being yourself is genuinely the only way to grow and glow. You know what I'm saying? So
Yo, that's so true. I just had this thought too. I had made a tweet earlier about wanting today to feel like, just being a childlike energy. And bro, we talked about child stuff the entire episode.
Yes.
We couldn't have created this any better, man.
No,
We
for
couldn't.
real. Yes, this is a vibe, for real. I'm glad to have this conversation, for real.
100%, man. I just want to thank you for being on the show. You're welcome on any time. This is really dope, man. This is really dope. Where can we find you? Like, I know you got a Twitter, but I'm not sure if you're on any other platforms. Where can we find you? I'll include everything underneath the description.
Honestly, right now, Twitter is all that I have at Ganja Kundalini. Yeah, you can include that in the description.
I include that.
I will be out the YouTube channel shortly. So
let's go, man. This is perfect. Let's go.
Yeah, so once I drop that, I'll post a link on my Twitter page, so I'll be able to access that there.
Hell yeah, bro. Just let me know, and definitely want you back on the show. Definitely, because this is time for us, and I feel like this YouTube and our platforms is meant now more than ever. So I'm grateful that we're able to share this experience, guys. I'm grateful that you feel that this aligns with you. I'm grateful for all you guys. If you guys want to as well, leave comments. If you have any questions you want me to ask my guests, or let's chat, man. It's the reason why you guys following me, and I want to make this podcast personal. We're family. Let's do shit that family do. As always, guys, you're the creator of your reality. Just be conscious of what you're thinking and saying, and be intentional, and just live life in a childlike energy. O'eshere, thanks for being on the show, bro.
Thank you for having me.